What legal documents do I need to start a business? We're going to answer that question in this video. Okay, let's rock. Let's talk about all the legal documents that you're going to need to start your business. And we're going to talk about a couple other things too that'll maybe pique your interest. Okay, so down to the basics. What do you need to start a business? Step one, you're going to need to form your business with the state. Usually it's a Secretary of State's website that you need to go to. And I would highly recommend getting with your CPA, with your accountant, and having them help you out, answer any questions that you have. Because if you've never done it before, it might seem like, oh, I don't know what to check in this checkbox. I don't know what to select in this drop-down box or whatnot. It's not rocket science, but if you haven't done it, it's always helpful to have an expert. So I highly recommend you get a good certified public accountant, a good CPA on your team. Now, once you go through the process, let's say, for example, you're going to set up an LLC, a limited liability company. It's funny because a lot of people confuse that with a limited liability corporation. It's not a corporation. It's a company, all right? Different. It does not have a board of directors. LLCs, limited liability companies, do not have board of directors. Okay, so you're going to set up, say, your LLC as an example. You're going to form that entity, and at the end of that process, at least in the state of Kansas, I know other states do it as well, you're going to get this certificate-looking thing that's going to be called the Articles of Organization or Articles of Incorporation, okay? Your articles probably are going to have like a state seal, like in my particular case, the state of Kansas, you'll have the seal on it. It'll have your business name, address, everything you had put on there, and it should have like your business entity ID number, which is basically a number that's registered with the state so they can pull it up, you know, for records and things like that. And that LLC, that forms your LLC, right? Now you have a company, and that company is going to need to be renewed. In most states, it might be all states, needs to be renewed every single year for a small fee. It just depends on your state. In Kansas, we're lucky. It's like $55 a year right now. I heard in California and other states, it's significantly more. So I feel sorry for people that own businesses there because they have to pay so much more just to renew their LLC. It's just a lot of money. It's kind of dumb, but whatever, it is what it is. So once you get your LLC formed, you're going to have your Articles of Organization. Some call it the Articles of Incorporation, yada, yada, yada. Now you're going to take that. And now the next step is you're going to need to register and get an EIN number, an Employment Identification Number with the IRS. IRS.gov is the website that you ultimately can find it at. I'm sure there's a million things you got to click through just to get to where you want to get to. But when you finally find it, you know, you can obviously call them and they can walk you through where to get to it. But if this is your first time registering an EIN number, I highly recommend, again, getting your CPA and attorney. Get a lawyer, have a lawyer say, hey, I need your help. Just kind of hold my hand through this process. Get your CPA, say, I've never done this before. And that way you've got, you know, one or two professionals on your team. They're going to help you set it up right. It's important when you're setting up your business that you set your documents up right, because the last thing you want to do is go back and have to fix everything, right? Amend it and stuff like that. It's just a pain. So just get it done right the first time by having professionals on your side. And make sure, you know, when you're registering everything, you know where you want all your paperwork to be mailed. Maybe you want it to come to your house. Maybe you want it to go to the business. You know, if it's going to go to the business and you're, say, leasing space and you think you might move in a couple years, you know, maybe it's better to get a P.O. box. Maybe it's better to have it sent to your house, right? If you know you're going to live at your house for, you know, forever, for 10 or 20 years, right? You really don't want to have to change, you know, that type of paperwork if you don't have to. That's all I'm recommending, is if you don't have to, figure out an address that you can have stuff sent to. But if you have to change, you're just going to have to do change of addresses and things like that. So let's recap here. So we've set up our Articles of Organization by registering, as an example, an LLC, a limited liability company with the state. We went to the IRS's website and we set up our EIN number. And that's basically your social security number for your business. The bank's going to want it. When you get loans, they're going to want it, and things like that. That's just going to be how they basically keep track of your business. You know, if you go into debt and you don't pay a debt or something like that, they're going to ding your business credit and things like that. And that could hurt you with like your DUNS number, your Dun and Bradstreet, the company that basically evaluates businesses, like their credit and things like that. The last thing you want to do is be owing people money. If they have your EIN number, they're going to submit like, hey, this person, I did services or I fronted them product for their business. They never paid me. And so you're not going to have any good credit. Nobody's going to want to give you any credit. So probably goodbye to like a credit card or a credit card with any real good credit line. Probably not going to be able to get a loan. Other creditors, if they're smart and they see that, they're going to be like, this guy looks like trouble. Looks like he signs up for stuff and gets people to trust him and he never pays them back kind of thing, right? So treat your EIN number like you do your social security number, right? Your credit, your personal credit. Treat that like your business credit. The absolute last thing you want to do is hose somebody over, right? To where you owe them money where they got wronged, right? You really owed them the money and you didn't pay them because you do deserve what's coming to you when they're going to ding your credit. So protect that. Remember, in business, you can never get back in your life. You can never get your word back, your reputation back. Once you tarnish that, it's like that forever. So you do not want your business to get dinged over $500 or a couple $1,000. I mean, if you owe the money, pay it, right? Pay it. So anyway, articles of organization, EIN number. And now you're going to take that and you're going to go set up a bank account, right? You're going to need a bank. In order to set up the bank account, they might also ask you for an operating agreement. And that's something else you have to set up. That's going to dictate the rules of your business. Who's in power? Who's in control? Who can do what? Who can borrow money? Whatever, all the details of that are going to be detailed in your operating agreement. You're going to need to get that. I highly recommend paying the money. If you're getting into business, you need to have money. You need to have money, some level of money to pay an attorney to set you up a good operating agreement and one that's got a lot, that's very diverse, right? It even has transfer on death clauses. If you've got partners, it's got all kinds of rules. If this, then what? If this, then what? You want to have all these things detailed, especially if you have partners, so that way if there's any disagreement, you all can refer back to what you signed up for. So that's basically, you guys all know that I'm a huge football fan, so that's the rules of the football game in a sense, right? Your operating agreement. So the bank, to set up your bank account, is going to need that as well. So understand that the operating agreement, take your time, get it set up the way you want it, because once you sign it, once you get it set up, if you got partners, unless they agree right then and there, after it's done, they're not going to let you make changes to it. Now, if it's just you, like you're a single member LLC, it's just you and nobody else, well, it's beautiful. You're going to have everything's you. It's all about you and what you can do and what you can't do. And if you die, who does it transfer to on death and things like that. These are the things that are in there. But make sure to get yourself an attorney that's specifically well-versed into operating agreements. If you don't find one that's doing that every day, like their weekly job, like that's what they do, because one thing you got to know about attorneys is most of them specialize in a couple different fields. They don't necessarily know how, like a divorce attorney might not be an expert in an operating agreement, if you understand what I'm saying. So what you want to make sure is that you're getting an attorney that specializes in legal documents, legal business documents like operating agreements. And then you have that particular attorney drafted up and you're good to go. So then the other kind of legal documents that come to mind would be like your business license, your permits, all the different taxes you have to register with the state, like your with federal, your state withholding, your federal unemployment, all this stuff that would be required just to run a generic business, right? There's lots of different tax accounts you have to set up, sales tax, if you're into food, like a restaurant, you might have food tax and things like that and so on. So make sure, again, you've got to have a team, right? You need to make sure you've got, when you're getting into business, have somebody, your lifelines, your attorney, your CPA, your partner, whoever else, some good friends or family. Get yourself in some business circles, join the Chamber of Commerce, get involved so that way you've got some mastermind groups that you can collaborate with that are in the same industry. Maybe you do weekly meetups, monthly meetups, you do Zoom calls. This will help elevate everybody's business. I highly recommend doing that. And if there's one last thing that I'd like to recommend, it's that if you're setting up a business that is, let's say as an example, you're going to lease some space and you're going to rent it out and you're going to have to do a lot of build out. Okay, if you're going to have to do a lot of build out, like changing the walls and changing electrical outlets and things like that, if you're going to have to do that, make sure that you do everything by the book, by the process. So go to the city, ask them, hey, this is what I want to do with this particular space that I'm going to lease out. What do you require? Basically, don't cowboy it. Don't go in and make changes, because what could end up happening to you is you'll spend a ton of money building walls, doing electrical stuff, whatever, and then the city will come in and find out about it, and they're going to say, wait a second, we didn't authorize you, we didn't say you could do this, and they might make you make a bunch of changes, or they might shut you down. So you're open for 3 months, 6 months, a year, and you're rocking and rolling, and all of a sudden they just shut you down. So understand that with certain situations, If you think that you're going to go in, and I call it cowboy style, right? Do it like where nobody's looking, you might get away with it. But in my opinion, getting into a business that might be your livelihood, it's not worth the risk. So get your architect, get your architectural plans drawn up, submit them to the city, get everything in writing, have it all done through email. Then they're going to approve your plans. Then when you do your build out, make sure you're getting licensed contractors. There's probably friends from high school and people that that are like, oh, I'll just do it for much less. Well, it's all nice and peachy and rosy as long as nobody gets hurt. But the second somebody cuts their finger and goes to the hospital, has a huge bill or whatever, you could get sued. The city could get sued. You get a lot of trouble. So you want to get licensed contractors that are insured before they start the work on your space. Make sure they send you proof of insurance. They need to send you their insurance certificate showing that they're fully insured with their workers' comp, their liability insurance and all that. Have them show you that. And all licensed, fully legit contractors, they'll send that to you. Have them prove it. You're going to spend a bunch of money with them, right? So get it all set up that way. Okay, everybody. So I hope this helped you out. I hope this brought some insight about what legal documents you're going to need to start a business. If you like the video, please like it, share it with your friends and family, comment if you have any questions, and please don't forget to subscribe. And remember this from me. No matter how hard it gets in business, never give up. Push hard, keep pushing, and be the hustler.